Alright, so today's not going to be a benchmarking video, but I did want to address quite a few comments that I've been getting recently, and we're going to be covering 4 topics in this video. Firstly, we'll be talking about the power, voltage, and performance of the RTX 5070 Ti that I've got installed here. Then I just want to point out 1 or 2 things regarding the new Frame Gen model from Nvidia. Then I also get a lot of comments to say that the AMD colors are better than Nvidia's colors, right? We'll address that as well. And then also why the Nvidia side of the recordings are usually choppy in my videos. All right, so first off, I'm going to try and not make this too long of a video. Here we've got 4 of my most recent videos with the RTX 5070 Ti versus the 9070 XT, right? This is just the 5070 Ti on both, but we'll get to the rest. Now, you'll see here that my GPU clocks are sitting at 2730 megahertz, 2730 megahertz. If we go to the next video, 2737. Next video, we've got 2730, and then we've got 2730 as well. Right, so this is Alan Wake. We've got The Last of Us 2. We've got Elden Ring, and not Elden Ring, Elder Scrolls Oblivion. And then this is Clear Obscure, right? So you can see that my GPU is always running at around 2730 megahertz. Now, people are claiming that I'm having an unstable overclock, and that's why it's boosting so low. But let me just show you what is happening here. So currently I do not have any MSI Afterburn installed. I did a clean install of this system, so it's a completely clean install. I do not have MSI Afterburn or anything installed here. So if we go into our Nvidia app here quickly, I just want to show you the settings and then we can get to the rest of the video, right? So if we go to, let's just go to performance first. There's no voltage tuning, no power tuning, no overclocks applied whatsoever. If we have a look at my rig, if we then click view rig details, you can see that I am running the current latest driver, the latest game ready driver that was released. Well, it says April 16. Is that correct? I don't know. Anyway, so 7800 X3D, 30 gigabytes of DDR5 memory, and here's the rest of the RTX 5070 Ti specs. Now you'll see that the graphics clock is set to 2512. I mean, that's just via the VBIOS, and we're running PCI Express Gen 4 because this is a B650 motherboard, and also it's connected to a 4K monitor currently, but I'm using a capture card for all my recordings, and this 4K monitor is connected to the capture card, and it's an external capture card on a secondary PC so that there's no performance hit whatsoever with regards to recording. Now, if we I just want to show you 1 or 2 games and then also talk about the performance a bit. All right, and the first game we're going to have a look at here is Quake 2 RTX, and the reason for that is this game, just look at the CPU utilization there. It says 1 to 4%, right? It is very, very heavy on the GPU and very light on the CPU. Now, just look at my GPU voltage there. It's sitting at 0.975 volts or 975 millivolts, and we are using around 270 watt, right? 272 watt, and this is what I wanted to show you, right? So my GPU is doing between 975 and 980 millivolts at all times. Okay, this game is exceptionally heavy, and we are running at 1440p native here. Just look at the boost clocks doing 2707, and if we then have a look at our voltage, it's 975 with the GPU power sitting at 272. So that is around 30 watt less than what the TDP limit of this GPU is. It's 300 watt, but we never see 300 watt on this GPU. Now, how does that affect performance, right? So because if I'm not doing any undervolting, there's no MSI Afterburn or anything I showed you, right? There's nothing like that happening here. But I'm going to install MSI Afterburner, and I'll show you that if we do change the clocks and even if we boost the power limit, what happens here with the on the right. I've only got the Nvidia overlay enabled, right? But I'm going to run MSI Afterburner alongside it as well. Now, it might be strange to some of you why I didn't have MSI Afterburner installed initially, but it's because there was a bug in earlier versions, maybe not MSI Afterburner itself, but a combination of the driver issue and MSI Afterburner, where if you had voltage monitoring unlocked, it would actually lock your voltage, right? So I just wanted to show that that's not the case here, all right? But I'm going to apply manual clocks here just to show you that it can boost further than this, right? It's not limited by an unstable overclock, and we will see performance increases here. So we'll have we're having around 113 114 frames per second here. There's a small blip in the frame time graph every now and again. This only happens when you have Afterburner installed, right? But anyway, so I'm going to go back into MSI Afterburner. You're going to see a black screen because this game does not support windowed mode, I believe. All right, so let's go to MSI Afterburner. You can see I'll zoom in a bit in edit. You can see we are running completely stock, okay? And if we then have a look at our settings, I do have hardware monitoring and control and also unlock voltage control, right? So as we showed earlier, it doesn't make a difference because our voltage stayed the same with or without MSI Afterburner installed. Now, what I want to see is if I just want to add the GPU voltage here as well, so you can see that it is on both the same. So I think we can have voltage limit, but let's just monitor GPU voltage in the on-screen display as well. And let's just see it show up. It shows you GPU and then you've got the voltage in the top left hand corner, right? So if we go back into Quake 2 RTX here, we'll see that our GPU voltage should be the same between the two, right? So we've got GPU voltage 980 volt and 0.980 volt, 985 millivolt, and it changes slightly, 980 to 975, whatever, and it matches, right? So it matches. We're getting 115 frames per second, give or take. Now I'm going to apply quite an aggressive overclock here. I'm going to apply this second profile. This is stable on my system, right? So core voltage set to max. This slider does not make a difference at all, right? For me anyway. Power limit is set to 106%. Core clock plus 350 and memory clock plus 2000. Okay, that's applied now. So let's go back into the game. We were getting around 114 frames per second, right? And now we are seeing, I'm just waiting for the screen to come up, 126, 127 frames per second. Look at the GPU voltage. It's still not close to what other people are reporting, 1035 millivolt. Others are doing 1.07 volt or 1070 millivolt. Anyway, so with an overclock applied, you can see the GPU clock goes to almost 3.1 gigahertz in this specific game, and the frame rate does increase, right? The power does increase as well. Now we are seeing almost 300 watts. Okay, so the GPU can hit 300 watts, but stock it does not come close to that. Whether it's a VBIOS issue or a game driver issue, I can't tell you. I've uploaded many different VBIOSes already, and none of them make any difference whatsoever. This is the Palit GameRock OC model. Okay, anyway, so now I just wanted to show you that even though the power is less and the GPU voltage is less, doesn't necessarily mean that it's affecting our performance. All right, so here we have Daniel Owen's channel, and I think he's a very respectable, very honest reviewer. I do like his videos. Here's his video with regards to the 5070 Ti versus the 4070 Ti. On the left, we've got the 4070 Ti. On the right, we've got the 5070 Ti. And if we have a look just at the end of the benchmark run here, he is getting 63 frames per second average. He's got 64 frames per second average marked there. This is with 1440p RT overdrive DLSS quality using the transformer model, and he is using 265 watts here. We do not have his voltage indicator here, so I don't know what voltage it is, but we can basically mimic this run because it is a built-in benchmark. So I'm going to just go back a little bit, and we can basically see that at the start of the run he's getting 271 watts. Okay, and 275 watt, 271, whatever. So it's in the region of 260 to 270 watt most of the time. So I'm going to do the exact same thing with Cyberpunk running completely stock. All right, so here we have Cyberpunk 2077. I'm using windowed borderless 2560 by 1440. And if we have a look at our graphics here, I'm just going to select the ray tracing overdrive preset, exactly the same thing what he did. And I'm just going to select quality, DLSS quality, right? He got 64 frames per second average, and I don't know if I think he basically got it from MSI Afterburner alone, right? But we will show you the benchmark run at the end as well. I'm going to be talking throughout the first benchmark run, and then we'll do an overclocked one, and I'll just do one or two more spot checks. All right, so yeah, we start with the video with the benchmark run. You can see my GPU is doing 222 watt, 220 watt, give or take. On the right, I don't have all the power metrics with MSI Afterburner. It was just as I said, it's a clean install, and I just wanted to get the minimum working. I'll just plop in my other hard drive once I'm done here. But you can see GPU voltage 980 millivolt. We are doing 220, 230 watts, and this is completely stock, right? We can, I'll share the MSI Afterburner settings at the end, but we won't have to interrupt this video because it's in windowed mode, and we should get close to 64 frames per second average, I believe. Let's see. If not, then the differences should be very small. Now, you might say that, sure, I've got a newer driver and it improves performance and whatnot and whatnot. In my experience so far with the 50 series, the performance, especially in Cyberpunk, didn't change at all with the new driver, right? So it is what it is. So if you have a look at our average there, 62 frames per second, right? And if we have a look at our I'm going to get rid of that. So our average here says 62.86, and that also mirrors our MSI Afterburner average, right? And then if we have a look at our MSI Afterburner settings here, it is completely stock, right? Nothing changed. We are getting 62.86 frames per second. And then if we use a calculator here, right? So here's was 64 divided by 62.86, for example, right? His GPU is 1.8% faster than mine. Okay. Like there's really no difference whatsoever. Okay. You can't really compare results like this and expect identical results because he's got a completely different system, different GPU. I think he's got a 9800 X3D with a PCI Gen 5 support anyway. Not that the PCI Gen 5 makes a big difference, yeah, anyway, but you can see his GPU is literally 1.8% faster than my GPU. Even if we round it off to 62, so 64 divided by 62, we'll see 3%. His GPU is 3% faster than my GPU, okay? It's a different model. Everything is different between the systems. There's really no difference between them at all. I think let's use the exact same settings first with quite aggressive overclock here. I'm going to run the benchmark again, and I won't be talking throughout this benchmark, but I will be I'll speed it up and then just show the results at the end, right? But I just need to start capturing at the correct time here. But I'll also show you the Nvidia overlay on the right and then the MSI Afterburner overlay on the left. All right, so you'll see we've got an average there of 69 frames per second. And if we close this and let's get rid of that, 69.57. Now, once again, if we go into calculator here, if we do a 69 divided by 64, you'll see now my GPU is around 8% faster than his. So there is still something to be gained with overclocking here. And we went from being 1 to 3% slower to 8% faster. So there's still something to be gained with overclocking. And that's what I want to show you, that this GPU is not, it's not power limited or voltage limited in a sense that it's hampering the performance, right? You can still manually increase the performance with an overclock. All right, I think it's time for us to move on to our next topic, because if the results in this game are this close, results in other games are going to be similar, right? I did spot check 2 other games. I'd spot checked Alan Wake 2 as well as Silent Hill 2, which is an Unreal Engine 5 game, and they both perform within a margin of error, right? I just wanted to show you this one basically live, right? It is a recording, but there's almost no editing happening here whatsoever. So I think let's move on to our next topic here, and that is with regards to the new Frame Gen model. And for that, I think let's go to another game. All right, so here we have Oblivion Remastered, and this is actually where all the controversy started, because my video was featured in a Reddit or subreddit post where people claimed my videos are fake. Anyway, all right, so here we are, 95-ish frames per second without DLSS frame generation. So let's go ahead and just enable frame generation. I want you to note the frame time graph here. I'm going to leave it open here, and you can see look at the frame time graph, how it changes. It just becomes extremely thick, right? There's, it looks like it's stuttering. There's not a smooth experience at all, but it is very smooth. If we start counting the lows, you'll see that it always starts off very low, like 70, 69. I keep on refreshing here. So 78, 85, and it immediately drops, even though literally nothing is happening on the screen here. What's wrong with the address? So with the new DLSS Frame Generation model, I believe they call it the flip chain model, on-screen displays do not correctly show the frame time graph or capture the 1% or 0.1% lows correctly. I'm going to keep on refreshing here. You'll see that it stays low. Now, I'm going to go into another game which still has the old DLSS Frame Generation model enabled. Alright, so here we have Ratchet & Clank, no frames generation. Look at the frame time graph, it's very smooth, 180 something frames per second. And if we go into our the settings don't really matter here, right? It's 1440p on the very high preset. And if we go ahead and enable frame generation, I hope it allows me to select. So this game sometimes does not allow you to select the DLSS frame generation within the menu, but I'm going to restart the game, but I wanted to show you the flat frame time graph here without frame generation enabled. And then if we go into the menu here, we can enable DLSS frame generation again, and I'll go into the game again. Alright, so if we have a look at our frame rate there, it went up from 180 to 260, give or take, right? And if we start counting the lows, you can see that the lows start off very close to the average. And this is normal. This is the old DLSS frame generation model, and the lows will update correctly and the frame time graph displays correctly. It's just the new DLSS frame generation model. All the games that support multi-frame generation received an update for the new frame generation model, right? You can, for the games that did not receive the update natively, you can force it in the Nvidia control panel. But to be able to use multi-frame generation, you need to use the new frame generation model. And when you enable that, you get that thick frame time graph, and you also get the inaccurate lows. That's why I keep on saying that if you display the lows on an on-screen display by using when you're using the new frame generation model, it is completely inaccurate. What you can do is you can enable some settings in CapFrame X. It's called MS between display change. You can enable that, and then if you run a benchmark run which is being plotted to a graph, that will show the correct lows. The on-screen displays do not show the correct lows or the correct frame time graph. All right, I think that's going to cover it for that particular topic. Let's move on to the next one. All right, another thing that I keep on seeing people mention is that the colors on AMD are better than the colors on Nvidia, and that's simply not true, right? If you have an Nvidia GPU here, you'll see that these are completely default settings. The color settings are set to use default color settings. If you select use Nvidia color settings, you can change the output dynamic range to full. Okay, the capture card is set to full. Now, if I set it to limited, which is the default, the colors look washed out. Sometimes I just forget to change this single setting in the Nvidia control panel, whereas on AMD, I don't need to do that. AMD selects it as dynamic range full, and if the display supports it, 10-bit, right? That's the reason why sometimes in my videos, the colors on AMD look more vibrant than on Nvidia. When viewing on a normal screen, there's no difference whatsoever. It's only in the recording that it comes up like that. And that is because my recording capture card setting is set to dynamic range full, right? And if there's a mismatch, it looks a little bit washed out. That's all it is. All right, and then the last thing I want to talk about is people saying that the Nvidia side of the recordings look choppy, right? It's where the performance is identical, but the Nvidia side looks choppy. Why is the footage for Nvidia so choppy? And I don't have an answer for you. I really don't. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. So for instance, in my Clear Obscure video, it was choppy, according to some people. I cannot see that when editing, it looks perfectly smooth. But when viewing on YouTube, it looks choppy. So over here, it looks perfectly fine to me. I don't know. So anyway, some of my videos, I don't get that complaint. So I'm not sure what the issue is, right? It might just be the capture card that is, or not the capture card PC is running out of resources. I'm using an ARC B580 for recording. I can see that it is a little bit choppy, right? On the right-hand side when we turn around. I don't know, but if you want to judge a game's smoothness, look at the lows and look at the frame time graph, right? Don't look at the visuals here, because I'm recording, we're doing 130 frames per second here, right? Then it's being fed into a 60 hertz capture card, which will also create tearing when we are getting closer to 60 frames per second, right? You'll see scan lines. I've had comments regarding that as well. And then also it looks choppy, but because we are feeding 140 frames per second into a 60 hertz capture card, frames are being dropped, right? And then that same footage is again exported as 60 frames per second, sorry, and then uploaded to YouTube. It applies its own compression, whatever, and the end result is that the Nvidia side sometimes looks choppy, and I don't have an answer for you on that as yet, but I'm playing around trying to figure out what is causing that. I think the last time I thought I had it sorted out, but then in this video and the not Elden Ring, the Elder Scrolls Oblivion video, people were saying that it was choppy again, and nothing changes between the two GPUs. I take out the GPU, I do a DDU, I install the new GPU, and then I just plug in the capture card as well, right? That's basically all I do. I don't have two monitors connected when I do my benchmark runs. It's just a capture card that is connected, and that is then connected to an external screen. So that's basically it, right? I don't know what's causing that, but I'll try and figure it out. All right, so on that note, I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate each and every viewer, and I hope that I clarified some of your questions or concerns. If you ever find something strange, right, don't just immediately go into attack mode. There are people that have pointed out issues or mistakes that I've made, and I always try and correct them by either removing it out of the video, leaving a pinned comment, deleting the video entirely. Some people can attest to that I do that. If you find something strange, leave a comment. I'll try and reply. If you come out swinging and attacking, calling my videos fake immediately and telling me I don't know what I'm doing, that kind of stuff, then your comment is just going to be ignored, right? You can reach me on Twitter. I'll link my Twitter page in the description as well. I've also got an email address. Reach out to me if you've got any concerns, and we can take it from there. All right, that's going to be the end of this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And as always, we hope to see you in the next one.